at services either. Just walk in and say, all right, now it's on. Good, thank you very much. Baruch Dayan Ha'emet, we praise the Judge of Truth. And at the beginning of services each week, we indicate to people they should turn off their cell phones or their pagers, or if not, just set them to stun. And Pearl and Alan and Jack of blessed memory as well, were regulars for over a decade. So they heard those things many times. I hope the temperature in here is good. Pearl complained about the sanctuary being too cold almost every week as well. So if you want to complain about the temperature, you're just fitting right in with her, and we miss her so deeply. Beginning with Psalm 121. Esai enai el haharim me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai, oseh shamayim va'aretz. Al yitzen lamot raglecha, al yanum shomrecha. Hine lo yanum velo yishan, shomer Yisrael. Adonai shomrecha, Adonai tzilcha al yad yaminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yakeka v'yarech balayla. Adonai yishmarcha mikol ra yishmorat nafshecha. Adonai yishmar tzilcha uvoecha me'ata v'ad olam. I lift my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. The Lord will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian. He is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will guard you from all harm. He will guard your soul, your going and your coming, now and forever. And together let us recite in the English the words from the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, in the house of the Lord forever. In a few moments I will call forward several people to speak about our dear Pearl. So we gather to fulfill this solemn obligation of paying our respects to the memory of our dearly departed Pearl Minor. Penina bat Hershel Ve'ita. Penina was her Hebrew name. We hope this assembly of loved ones and friends will be a comfort and a support to the sorrowing family and to sorrowing friends. For more than a decade, Pearl has been a regular at synagogue. As I mentioned before, she and her husband Jack of blessed memory and their son Alan have been regulars. Alan does the driving. Pearl is part of the neighborhood in the synagogue in the back rows of the sanctuary just inside the door. The neighborhood has seen its ups and downs over the years, and every synagogue has little neighborhoods where you get people that are regulars that sit all the time. Some people are sitting under the speakers so they can hear. Some people are sitting close to the vent so they get warm. Some people are sitting far away from the vent so they don't get cold. But every synagogue has neighborhoods in the sanctuary. Her neighborhood was right in the back door. Today we mark the loss of a woman who once came in to Shabbat services in the evening, walking in as we were singing Lecha Dodi, which is welcoming in the Sabbath bride. The door was closed. And just as we opened up the door, as we stood for the last part of Lecha Dodi, when you turned to face the door, welcoming in the Sabbath bride, who is standing at the door? Pearl with her walker, and she's walking in. The Sabbath bride herself. And weekly after going home after services, she would light the Shabbos candles. Really a Sabbath bride. In all the years of temple affiliation, Alan and Pearl and Jack missed just a handful of services. And if Alan couldn't come to services or his mom wasn't feeling well, he would call just to let me know. It's really, on one hand, you can count each year. A temple rides upon the shoulders of such members. Believe it or not, we're approaching the High Holy Days. Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur will be upon us next month. Our dear Pearl Minor is a reminder of a beautiful Talmudic teaching about Yom Kippur. It's in Tractate Yoma. When the temple stood in Jerusalem, on the holiest day of the year, the Day of Atonement, we learned that the high priest would go into the Holy of Holies and he would offer prayers on behalf of himself that he would be worthy to represent the congregation. Then he would offer prayers on behalf of his family, that they would be cleansed of their transgressions. Then he would offer prayers on behalf of the whole community of Israel, that they would be cleansed of their transgressions. And the people waited for him, and when he would come out, the Talmud tells us he would read a brief section from the Torah of the 5 books of Moses, any section he would like to, we imagine. I mean, he was a high priest. He would read a brief section, and then he would finish. Far more than I have read to you is written therein. And so it is today. For Pearl lived a life of 92 plus years, and far more than you will hear in the next few minutes, and far more than I can say, ever in words, is the life of our dear Pearl Minor. The love that you feel for her, you express, and we express by our spoken and our unspoken remembrances, by our laughter, our tears. It is not the rabbi alone who delivers the eulogy. We are poorer for her loss. We are much richer for the wealth of memories she has bequeathed to us, and we will hear some of those memories now. First, we call for cousin Isla, to be followed by Joy, a friend.
Hi, I'm Isla Joseph Malul, which means I am the youngest niece of Pearl Minor. My Aunt Pearl had 9 brothers and sisters, which made her 10. And there's only 2 left, unfortunately. There's so much to say about Pearl Minor. I don't even know, can't keep you here all day. But I can tell you, she was not the matriarch of our family, but she was the glue. Every year, every holiday, we all went to Aunt Pearl's house. All of us. Whether you married somebody that wasn't Jewish, you came to Aunt Pearl's house. Whether you lived down the street, you came to Aunt Pearl's house. She was loving to everybody. Everybody knew Pearl Minor. Everybody in the neighborhood knew Pearl Minor. Everybody in McDonald's knew Pearl Minor. Pearl Minor would go to McDonald's, and those who know, most of you really don't, Pearl Minor can go anywhere she wants to eat. But she liked to go to McDonald's with all of her friends, at least twice a week. And they all knew her because she said, I want French fries, but I don't want French fries like everybody else. I want French fries that are soft. Don't give me crispy French fries. I want soft French fries. So when Pearl Minor walked in, they gave her soft French fries everywhere she went. Everybody knew Pearl Minor. She loved a lot of things. The most important things that she loved were her family. Her son Alan, her daughter Eileen, her grandchildren, and of course her husband. And she had one little token son, her hairdresser, Nick Montecalvo. Nick. All I heard about when I grew up was Nick. When I was 12 years old, my parents got divorced, and and my father got custody of me. And for the first year, I lived with my Aunt Pearl. And my cousin Alan was in college because he's 6 or 7 years older than I am. I lived in his room. And she took me to get my hair cut by Nick. And this is Nick. And from the time I was 12 to the time I was 27, I got my hair cut by Nick. And our whole neighborhood knew Aunt Pearl because she was a little bit loud, a little bit outspoken, and let everybody in the house all the time. You always knew it was Aunt Pearl's house because the garage door was up. Back then, the neighborhood was very, very, very safe. And we had a dog. The dog was named Champagne. And from here to 10 miles from here, you could hear, Champagne, come quick. Oh my God, Champagne got left. What am I gonna do? Oh my God, Isla, come help. Eileen, come help. If Alan comes home and Champ's gone, I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself. He's gonna kill me. We gotta find Champagne. This went on forever. She pretended she didn't like the dog. She hated the dog. She told everybody, I hate that dog. We knew she loved the dog. Secretly, she probably went to the butcher. She fed him better meat than she fed everybody else. She loved the dog. She just didn't want anybody to know that she loved the dog. Everybody loved her because she was sweet and she was nice and she was humble. Humility. You know, nowadays you look around and the kids nowadays, they have no clue. They want everything. They don't realize that the generation that came before us had to work hard and didn't have food. You know, my aunts and uncles, the 10 of them, there were some times that they went without food because they had 10 mouths to feed. They don't really tell you those stories because everything is in the past. My aunt was very loving and very giving to all. And her life revolved around her son, Alan, and her daughter, Eileen. Literally, the moon and the sun. And I think over the past at least 10 years, my cousin Alan has lived his life for his mom. And nobody could have asked for a better son. Eileen was there all the time. She has children, but Alan dedicated his life to her. And unfortunate as it is, we'd all like to be 92 years old and live a healthy, happy life with hundreds of people here to say respects. And I want to thank you all for coming. That's it.
Joy Mons, please. Longtime friend. To be followed by Sue Williams, her caregiver.
First, we do want to thank all of you for coming to help the Miner family celebrate Pearl's life and share in the grief of her passing. My name is Joy, and Alan and I have been friends, I hate to say it, but for over 40 years, and that's how I came to know Pearl. But it was really after Jack's passing that Alan began to incorporate Pearl in more events that my family celebrated. And at every gathering, we welcomed her with loving arms. And it was really during those occasions that I really got to know Pearl Miner much better. And as I reflect back over those particular get-togethers, a couple of thoughts come to mind. And first is how gracious Pearl was. She always brought a hostess gift. She always participated in the madness and craziness that defines my family. She was game for everything. And she always sent a note thanking us for welcoming her and providing a good time. They would arrive, we would go out and greet her. I'd say, Pearl, so good to see you. She said, it's a miracle we made it. Alan drives like a maniac. I even recall a specific comment that she made after one of our get-togethers. She said, well, that Mons family, they sure know how to have fun. And I think everybody here would agree that Pearl really liked having a good time, so it worked out well. Secondly, I think was her very sweet, gracious, loving nature. Not long after joining us as part of our family get-togethers, we were quickly hugging and kissing and loving on her, but it was a reflection back of the love that she showed us. So for the memories that you made for us during those times, we thank you, Pearl. Now a few words about Pearl's years since Jack's passing. It's no exaggeration to say that Pearl was taken care of by her son and daughter in a fashion that pleased God. They certainly kept Proverbs 23:22, which says, "Listen to your father who gave you life, and do not despise your mother when she is old." Also, Exodus 20:12, "Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God has given you." So Alan and Eileen, you very pleased the Lord in the care that you gave your mother. And you have to know that you did everything that you could for her. If you think differently, and I know there will be times that you think I could have, should have, and would have, but what I want to direct you to is a psalm of King David, 139:16, which says, "Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be." So Alan and Eileen, it was the Lord that called your mother home according to his time. And I want you to take great peace in that. Finally, Alan, I would like to look at your sister Eileen. Eileen, I would like you to look at your brother Alan. And what I want to say to both of you is this: Alan, behold your sister. Eileen, behold your brother. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sue Williams, to be followed by Alan.
Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry, I'm probably not going to get through this very well, but I felt compelled to speak today for my friend Pearl. I loved her like my own mother, and we had many, many, many hours of fun, and I asked her for her wisdom many a times, and I just lost my train of thought. I've been kind of foggy for a couple days. Anyways, from the first moment that I met Pearl, we clicked. We were like two peas in a pod, and really, actually, very much alike. We both loved hair and makeup and clothes. And we loved shopping, and we did that every day. Every day I was with her, we did all of those. In fact, the first year I was with her, I gained 15 pounds. But she was always gracious to me. Alan and Eileen was always gracious to me. In fact, the whole family made me feel like part of them and welcomed me and always included me. And I appreciate everything all of you have done for me. And in closing, I just want Pearl to know that I will miss our times together very, very much. But she will always be in my heart, my thoughts and prayers every single night. I love you, Pearl, but I know you know that. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, my dear friend. And for the rest of my life, I will never forget you. Never. Thank you.
Alan, if you would come and speak words of eulogy and tribute for your mother, please. This is very difficult. My mother grew up in the Depression. She learned to be strong during the Depression. One of 10 children. I don't want to say she learned how to survive, but she learned how to make her way in the world. From climbing an apple tree to getting apples for herself and her friends and her sisters, she always found a way to provide for her family. For over 92 years, she provided for her family. Her mother cooked with onions every day during the Depression. So growing up, we knew that onions were not going to be part of our diet. She didn't like onions. If you knew my mother, you knew she loved chocolate. And I think she learned to like chocolate because her father, blessed memory, knew she didn't eat well or eat a lot because she'd rather be out playing. She's a tomboy. So every once in a while he would sneak off with her, just her and him. He'd take her to the corner ice cream store and get her a vanilla cone. She ate it. I'm sure she enjoyed it, especially in the summer. But I think that's why she only liked chocolate instead of vanilla. Growing up, my mother was very active. She was the Cleveland area marble champion. And she won a trip to the Poconos. She won a bicycle that my dear beloved Aunt Esther, who's not here, but she's still around, 95, rode with her one brother and broke it before my mother got a chance to use it. Fond memories of siblings and family. Growing up, she, again, always provided. She worked hard. She worked at White Motors, and she opened up a credit card that her mother took advantage of because she could, and my mother shared, and it didn't matter. And my grandmother's accent was a little broken English, so when she called to order things, she'd say, "Put it on Paul's credit card." So my mother's credit card said Paul Joseph. But the bill still got paid. Some of the fond memories of my mother are obviously from the past 58 and a half years that I've been honored to be her son.
So my first memories are her singing lullabies to my sister to help her sleep at night in a rocking chair. Everything that I remember about my dear mother was her always providing for us, for my sister, for me and my father. She was always there for us, sacrificed everything for us, did everything for us. Truly a blessing to our family. She was always there, providing, caring, and being a loving mother. And for that I am so very, very grateful for being able to be her son and grow up in a nurturing and kind, loving family. Because I am who I am. Because of the love that my parents gave me, especially the love of a mother. Unconditional love. She was always there for us growing up. In Willowick, the house, our house, was the gathering place for all the neighbors, kids, especially in the summer. My mother would make Kool-Aid and put out the pool and teach us things like hopscotch and kick the can and all those childhood games that you don't need a lot to do to create happiness and fun. She taught us that happiness was being with family. I'll always cherish those memories. And growing up in Lyndhurst, again, our house became a home for the neighborhood kids. And all the holidays, and all the sharing, and all the fond memories were because my dear mother put her heart and soul into making us feel loved. And she nurtured and loved us every day of her life up until the end. I'm going to miss her so much. Last few years I've grown to know her so well. Her sense of humor, her humility, her love and devotion to my sister and me and my father and her grandchildren and all her family and friends. Her life revolved around family. And today, we honor her memory. My dear mother's gone, never forgotten. She's in my heart forever. And I thank you for coming and for helping me. Helping me today, my sister today, and the days ahead. Rest in peace, Mom. I love you. Amen.
And to all of those words, let us together say Amen, spoken as a prayer. Pearl and all of her siblings were born here in Cleveland. She was born on December 18th, 1924. Harry and Ida were her parents of blessed memory. She was the seventh of 10 children. Molly, Anne, Frank, Rose, Frida, all of blessed memory. Esther, with us. Pearl of blessed memory. Ruthie, with us. Max and Freddie of blessed memory. Freddie and of Esther of the bicycle. Her Hebrew name was Penina, which means pearl, and she was a jewel. She was a pearl in so many ways. Pearl spoke about growing up poor, About 7 months ago, when her sister Rose passed, Pearl said Suki was her nickname. Suki never went to high school because all of the kids worked for the family. And over the years, she also recalled, we worked so we could buy clothes and shoes. And 4 of us slept in one bed, she said. Pearl didn't like hand-me-downs. That's probably why she liked to go shopping so much later in life. Growing up, she had to wear hand-me-downs. She was the 7th of 10 kids. She hated hand-me-downs. She hated hand-me-downs so much that her mom, Ida, used to have to walk her to school often because she wouldn't want to go to school in the hand-me-downs. Pearl Joseph met Jack Miner because they traveled in the same circle of friends, and you can just hear Pearl saying the following. Yeah, we were party crashers, she said. If there was something good to eat and drink, we would go. We ate and drank for free. They dated for about 10 years before getting married on April 6, 1957. And in 2011, they had very recently celebrated their 54th wedding anniversary when Jack passed away. They were blessed with, as you know, 2 children, Alan, Eileen, Eileen's husband, Victor, grandchildren, Stephen, David, and Morgan. Eileen also spoke about playing outside with her mom and the marble champion on the broken bicycle, playing hula hoop, and what a fun personality her mom had. Jack and Pearl's first house was in Willowick, and they volunteered to run the Willowick school bus program. Can you imagine? Volunteers getting phone calls at all hours because Tommy is sick or so-and-so is sick. They receive phone calls all the time. They did that as volunteers. When they moved to Lyndhurst in '68, she was a lunch lady, and she did the recess as a volunteer, because you can't pay people to do what volunteers will do with love, and she loved children, and she did that. They joined Temple Ner Tamid in 1961 at 260th and Lakeshore, and then they came to our congregation, Temple Israel Ner Tamid. Many, many years later, they were looking for a place. Pearl said, we heard the food was good, and so we came. Little did we know the food was so good at our own egg, but. And I'll close with this. They were very committed not only to community in general, but to the Jewish community in particular. This isn't public knowledge, but I'd like to share it. About 10 years ago, our congregation needed a half a dozen guarantors. We were doing some work on the temple building, and we needed guarantors to, you know what a guarantor is. If the loan, if the temple doesn't pay back the loan, they come to you because the temple's not paying the loan back. And I came to speak to Jack and Pearl, and they couldn't say thank you fast enough. I mean, they couldn't say yes and thank you for the opportunity fast enough. And just a couple of months before Jack passed away in 2011, we paid off the loan, and we burned the mortgage in the parking lot with the religious school kids. I think Jack and Pearl were pretty happy that that happened. But that they signed on with about 5 other couples to be guarantors quietly is not something that we should forget, because there will be times in our lives when people will come to us, and they are among the many people that are examples. Morgan said Grandma thought it was her job to feed me. She fed me even when I was full. And she loved sweets, as you know, and she was a helper, and she had a big heart. And although we are sad today, it's a blessing that she lived 92 plus years and was blessed many, many times over as a daughter, as a sister, as a mom, as a grandma, as an aunt, as a wife, probably a great aunt many times over as well. Last Friday afternoon, she breathed her last, and she was at home just where she wanted to be. She was in her favorite chair in the den, and that's where she breathed her last. I had a young person today a couple of days ago ask me, why do all these people die in their chairs? And I said to her, because it's their favorite place in the house. You spend a lot of time in the chair. And in 2011, Jack, he passed away just where he wanted to be, in his favorite chair, in the den, right next to where Pearl's chair is. Kano Horo, we should all go so peacefully. So now there is no more pain or deterioration. There's just rest and wholeness and peace. And Pearl's soul is returning to God to be with the souls of her dear husband and family and relatives and the ancestors of our people. We learn this in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 7. The dust returns to the earth as it was. The spirit returns to God who gave it. Her spirit, her soul, is committed to God. The family has allowed us to send a couple of well-prayed-from prayer books in the casket with her. They've also sent along her High Holy Days prayer book with her. It provides a respectful burial for holy books of our tradition, as well as a respectful burial for the body of a loved one, of your dear loved one, Pearl Minor. So as we think of Pearl, have a little chocolate. Come to services at our synagogue or at the synagogue you go to. Become a regular. Congregations, if you're Christian, go to church. Christians, go to church. Jews, go to synagogue. Everybody go to your place of worship, because houses of worship need regulars. You need regulars. You need people when somebody walks in the prison and goes, hey, how you doing this week? Someone to be there when you are celebrating a joy. Someone else to be there when you're commemorating a sadness. Become a regular. And if you do that, then you will certainly be helping pay a fitting tribute to our dear Pearl Minor. And we conclude with words from the first chapter of the book of Job. Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach, yehi shem Adonai mevarach. The Lord hath given, the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Amen. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru yimru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. May God, who causes peace to reign in the high heavens, cause peace to rain down upon us, upon all Israel, and upon the soul of our dearly departed Pearl Minor. And let us say Amen. Please rise for the El Malei Rachamim prayer. And then we will go in procession to the cemetery. If you are able to come to the cemetery with us, very good. If you are not able to come to the cemetery, we'll be at the cemetery. We'll be at our temple, Temple Israel Ner Tamid, in about an hour and 15 minutes after we leave here. Family will be there until 6 o'clock tonight, and then from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock at the family residence, and tomorrow from 2 o'clock till 9 o'clock at the family residence. And they're asking if you care to make a donation. Among the places to consider, please consider her favorite synagogue, Temple Israel Ner Tamid. Into your care, O God, we entrust the spirit of Pearl Minor, for you keep faith with your children in death as in life. Sustain us that we may meet with serenity the mysteries that lie ahead, knowing that when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you, O God, are with us, a loving friend in whom we put our trust. You are the light of our life, our hope in eternity. El male rachamim, shochen bamromim, hametzeh menucha nechona, tachat kanfei hashchina, im kedoshim utohorim, kezohar masirim, et nishmat Panina bat Hershel ve'ita, shehalacha le'olama, ba'al harachamim, yastireha b'seter kenafav le'olamim, vayitzror b'tzror hachayim, et nishmata, Adonai hu nachalata, v'tanuach b'shalom al mishkava, v'nomar Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to our dear Pearl Minor. She has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. Please remain standing for a moment. The funeral directors will come in and give us directions for the procession.